Stop the presses. Did Gavin Newsom just admit that he may have gotten a bunch of things wrong during COVID-19 and those lockdowns? Coming up, I'll share what he told Chuck Todd this weekend on NBC and why I'm not convinced he's learned his lessons. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and Gavin Newsom, as we have said on this channel repeatedly, he's running for president. He's sitting down with national journalists, doing big news interviews, trying to basically package himself as a moderate, centrist governor. Look, we know the truth out here in California. The rest of the country hasn't been paying attention. But over the weekend, he said something quite remarkable, something that I've been hoping that some politicians would finally get around to doing and saying, and that is they got it completely wrong during COVID. Well, that's not exactly what Gavin said. Here's Politico and how they're characterizing Gavin Newsom's interview with Chuck Todd this weekend on NBC. Politico, we would have done everything differently. Newsom reflects on COVID approach. Here is the actual interview. I'm going to play it for you, and then I'm, of course, going to give my own snarky responses as we hear Newsom trying to kind of pretend like he's learned and is moderated from his disastrous approach on COVID, which, remember, he locked us down more than any other governor of the country. He locked down our economy, our schools, our way of life. He attacked people and their constitutional freedoms. It did not actually give us a better response to COVID. It had all the negative side effects of all the costs to children and their emotional impacts, their lack of learning, the economy, the jobs that were destroyed, again, those aforementioned freedoms that were infringed upon. We had good people threatened with losing their jobs if they didn't get a vaccine that turned out really not to be very effective at all. So he really is not in this interview going into a complete apology, but here it is.
Second, it was during COVID. You were pretty strict with the lockdowns here.
Pretty strict is an understatement.
And it was an interesting piece in Harper's that sort of was critical of your decisions from this perspective. You found a way to allow the motion picture industry and the sort of the movie industry to get back to work, but you didn't allow people to grieve together at funerals or at churches.
All right, stop right there. So he's saying, there was some criticism about what we've talked about on this channel repeatedly is that Newsom is pay to play for his politics. He's corrupt. He gives his friends exemptions. He didn't, wear a mask when he dined with a bunch of lobbyists at the French Laundry. He repeatedly broke the rules for himself and his campaign contributors, giving them special exemptions while he basically crushed the mom and pop small business owner and went after churches vindictively, by the way. This is a guy who is not, modest about it. He wasn't bringing people together. He was vindictive. He attacked people who disagreed with his COVID restrictions, lockdowns, mask mandates, vax mandates. He said that they were killing people, that they were rubes, that they were ignorant, that they were anti-science. So an arrogant prick. Okay, there's no other way to describe it. Sorry for the French, but this guy was terrible. And the only criticism that Chuck Todd, liberal, and this is why he was fired from NBC, he's basically saying, oh, well, you gave exemptions. Okay, that's just the starting point. Let's talk about all the damage that this guy did.
And that that this may be why there's such a polarized disconnect. What you prioritize, right? This is this anger between the populace.
Maybe this is why there's a polarizing disconnect. No, it's because you called anyone who disagreed with you anti-science and basically killers in society. That's why there's a polarizing situation here. It was not those that opposed the mandates that were polarizing. It was the ones that were arrogantly trying to impose them on us, telling that we didn't know the science. They ended up being wrong, of course. The science overwhelmingly validated our criticism. And no apology.
And the elite, supposedly. Here, you prioritize this industry, but you were tougher on those that just wanted to go worship. What do you say to that, Chris?
I think there's a lot of humility, and we didn't know what we didn't know, and it was hard.
I think there's a lot of humility. Okay, Gavin Newsom lecturing us on humility. Yeah, that's like the devil lecturing us on Bible study.
Hardly it was we collectively.
I understand
and
that.
I think all of us, in terms of our collective wisdom, we've evolved. We didn't know what we didn't know. We're experts.
But we've evolved. We didn't know what we didn't know. No. You said that you were infallible. You said science was overwhelmingly on your side, open, shut, black and white, case closed. You didn't leave any inch for disagreement. You did not even allow people who disagreed with you to marshal their points of view. In fact, you said we should shut them down. You went to tech companies and the media and said that they were spreading dangerous misinformation that was dangerous to public health. And you had those individuals censored. You even passed a law in California saying doctors would be stripped of their medical license if they gave any sort of medical advice contrary to what the government sanctioned. And that law still, by the way, is on the books. More on that in just a moment.
It's in hindsight. We're all geniuses.
But think about what
But we're all geniuses now. Okay, so now he says, I'm a genius again. No, he's never not said that he's a genius. He's always been a genius, even though he's seemingly acknowledging here that he got things wrong without saying, sorry, I got things wrong. For him, it's like, oh, of course people learned. We've all evolved. We weren't geniuses then, but now we're geniuses now.
what you ended up collectively prioritizing. You're prioritizing industry, in one specific one, but then didn't prioritize maybe ones whose maybe values.
Notice how Chuck Todd can't get off the hypocrisy, the special consideration. Again, totally ding Newsom on the special consideration, but Chuck Todd, look how arrogant he looks there. Just again, bye, Chucky, bye. No more show for you. Chuck Todd doesn't want to talk about all the other issues as well. The impacts to children, the people who lost their jobs, the divisiveness, the toxic nature of politics.
Connect with.
Well, I don't think it's a binary. There was iterations within that theme. There was fits and starts. There were regional frameworks that had impacts more broadly defined. There were more industry specific frameworks. All of us went through a process. I mean, there was few states that didn't go into.
Oh, for God's sakes. This guy is trying to rewrite history so badly. He's not saying, oh yeah, I got everything right, because everyone knows that that's simply not true. But he's trying to pretend to the rest of the country that he was some sort of moderate and that he learned his way along. He was well-intentioned.
Aggressive lockdowns, including Florida's Ron DeSantis.
No, I understand that, but it was more
but within the framework of the
who opened the
industries.
door. It's what industry got leniency and which ones
all
didn't.
All of it is legitimate in terms of reflection. All of it is legitimate in terms of processing lessons learned.
When you give special consideration, you're a hypocrite and you're corrupt, Mr. Governor. You are pay to play, Gavin. Anyone who gives you a contribution gets special consideration. The rest of us get the shaft. That's been the epitome of California's corrupt politics.
Went through a process. I actually had at Sunnylands, which is the Camp David on the West Coast.
Right.
We brought together experts across the spectrum, people that supported our efforts, people that opposed them, international experts. And we spent 3 days really.
You never let people who disagreed with you in the room to present their point of view. You censored them. You're a liar. And you're trying to censor doctors currently under state law.
Stress testing what we did right, what we did wrong. We're actually putting out a report as it relates to our own lessons learned. I think this country would do well to advance a similar construct, not through the lens of prisons.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, this country would do well to copy California, said no one ever.
Of an ideology, but through.
You think there should be almost like a 9/11 commission on what lessons learned from this pandemic?
There's been versions of that, but
there's not. Not even the Republicans in the House of Representatives have actually done a good job exposing just how corrupt, just how wrong, just how damaging these ill-gotten mandates were during COVID-19. And we're seeing cases going up, and the media's doing their level best to scare the crap out of people. Who knows what sort of policies we're going to have by October, November, December.
Immediately dismissed within the prism of our partisan frame. And so I'm at least trying to work across that and in context of all
what
our
is
local.
Something you do differently?
Well, I think we would have done everything differently because we understood.
Oh, really? You've done everything differently. Would you not have shut down the schools? Would you not have shut down the small businesses? Would you have not told people to rat on their neighbor if they held birthday parties in the outdoors in the backyard? Tell us, Governor, what would you not have done differently?
We would understand outdoors, as an example. The nature.
You wouldn't have shut schools down. You'd have tried to figure out how to maybe have outdoor classrooms.
No, that's not, well, now you're getting
No,
into
I mean-
No. Can't go that far. I can't say I wouldn't have shut schools down because, by golly, the teachers union told me I had to do it, and they're probably going to tell me I have to do it again. You know that that's absolutely on the table. A mask mandate, school shutdowns, probably something along the lines of a vaccine mandate for a lot of different types of employees. That's all still on the table, even though they were absolute failures in the last cycle.
But I think the nature of the spread early on and understanding the epidemiology of that spread, understanding the spread in the context of how it spread very differently indoors than outdoors is one perfect example of what a lot of us would have done differently, including, again, in states, red states that shut down their beaches in the early part of the
No. Red states that shut down their beaches, California shut down their beaches and said you can't sit on the sand. That happened right here in San Diego. We have video of sheriff's deputies and lifeguards chasing people off of a beach. For God's sakes, they're going to kill people if they lay down on the sand. So this is Gavin
I think
today.
a deeper understanding of around mask and mask wearing and N95s, KN95s. You go through a process across the spectrum in terms of being prepared, issues related to how we fundamentally address the distribution of vaccines and the prioritization. You want to talk about prioritizations early on. In terms of those vaccines, you go through a series of things.
All these things are tactical. Oh, how do we get the vaccine distributed? He doesn't say we would not have done a mandate and fired all those good police officers and firefighters. No, doesn't say that. He talks about masks in terms of what type of masks should we mandate? N95 versus a Black Lives Matter scarf.
So many things we could have done differently.
You think this country can handle another pandemic?
All right, so that's the interview. Well, let's contrast that with Gavin Newsom in the recall election. He literally ran ads saying that if you voted for his opponent, or if you voted yes on recall, that you would die. Literally, that was his whole entire case and campaign. Here's one of his rallies.
He said, I know there was an ad, people said it's a little hyperbolic, but I don't think it was, saying this election is a choice about life and death. It's true, California is among the lowest case rates in America and among the highest vaccination rates in America because we believe in science, we believe in public health. We're not ideological.
Because we scared the crap out of the populace and mandated that it would have to happen. So a lot of people did things in fear that they now look back and say, wow, that really didn't help me. A lot of them still are ignorant and don't know the science, how the science has rejected vaccine mandates and mask mandates.
So we're open to argument, interested in evidence. It's working, California. All of that's on the ballot.
We're open to evidence, but if you're a doctor, we're going to take your medical license away if you disagree with the government party line. You arrogant, dishonest. I won't say anymore.
All of that is on the ballot in the next week. And so I want to just thank each and every one of you for everything you've done.
It's all COVID-19's on the ballot. It's all COVID-19 is on the ballot. By the way, that bill I talked about earlier, where they're going to strip doctors of their medical license if they dare to disagree with the government on things like COVID-19, that bill is being challenged in court, and the likelihood that the judges are going to throw it out is pretty darn high. So California's liberal politicians are quietly passing an appropriation amendment to basically do away with that bill. So that bill, which had a lot of fanfare, and that Newsom and Democrats were saying, yes, we can't let doctors give bad information to patients and threaten and jeopardize their safety. That bill probably won't even make it to court. It's being amended as we speak in these last few days of the legislative session. Look, Gavin Newsom is on a national tour because he's running for president. Don't have his recent denials about running for president fool you. He is going to be the nominee. And so what he's doing right now is showing the insider, rich donor class of the Democrat Party, the ones that actually control things, the hedge fund guys and Wall Street, union bosses, lobbyists, all those big special interests that really run the Democrat Party and don't want to have a real primary. And that's why they're holding on to Joe Biden, keeping him in long enough to then swap out the delegates and have an open convention where, of course, all the delegates being rich moneyed interest of the party, they'll vote for their boy, golden boy, Gavin. Nancy will make sure of that, Nancy Pelosi. We need to be in a position where we can respond like this. Anytime he tries to rewrite history, we've got the receipts, we've got the facts. We can play videos like what he said during the recall, making the entire recall about COVID-19 and the fact that you need a vaccine mandate, you need a mask mandate. You are going to die if you don't vote his way or the highway. Go to exposegavinnewsom.com. Help us out. Chip in a contribution so that we can continue to investigate and put together a dirt file, an opposition file on Gavin Newsom. His milquetoast and inadequate acknowledgement that he could have done better during COVID. No, not enough. No, you failed, Governor Newsom. We do not need that sort of recklessness and divisiveness and toxicity in the Oval Office. And we have to warn the rest of the country that he did not learn his lessons from the last go around on COVID. Go to exposegavinnewsom.com. Join the fight. Also, help us get this information out to people across the state of California. Like this video, share it, subscribe to this channel so that we can break through the censorship of the liberal media and get you balanced news, a different perspective than what you're getting from the party line media that exists in California in each media market. So like and subscribe to this channel and help us get the word out. Until next time, I'm Carl DeMaio with Reform California. Thanks for watching. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.